Okay, hello everyone. Not tired. We might be going over 3 chapters in this video because they're fairly straightforward. All right, let's start with chapter 14, the effortless way. So he talks about the principle of least action. Now, I went on a deep dive, and maybe too deep for my uneducated brain, but I saw a bunch of like physics videos from like professors and scholars. I mean, people smarter than me, and because I wanted to see the background behind this. Let me read what he actually says. Principle of least action governs everything in physics, from the path of the planet to the path of pulse of light. The least action is the minimum of energy multiplied by the minimum of time, therefore in moving. Okay, so he establishes what least action is pretty succinctly, but he makes the extrapolation or the link to what you do in moving. So he says, therefore, in moving to from your present state to the state desired, you must use the minimum of energy and take the shortest possible time. I don't like that he used the word must here, because I want you to read what I said now. So I'm going to put this YouTube video in the notes. You can take a look at it. It's the one that helped me understand least action the most. Okay, so basically, my research of least action said that all particles automatically get to where they're going with the least amount of action. Yeah, and then so at least an action means kinetic minus potential energy. So the particles automatically do that. Like, and that was a phenomenon that was observed, a couple hundred years ago, I think. So he says must, but that's the thing that automatically happens. So you don't need to worry about using least action, because I have no reason to not believe that all particles, including us, do what we do with the least amount of action. I mean, we're lazy, but that's okay. So don't worry. So he says you must, but don't worry about, oh no, I need to use the least amount of action. No. It's a law, okay? So least action is a law. The law of assumption is a law. If things happen, you just have to align yourself with the law by assumption. That's it, okay? I'm getting tired of saying that. No, I mean it's just it's fine, because miscommunications happen all the time. So okay. Okay, so it's a psychological one. Yep, you must use blah blah blah. Okay. And the psychological equivalent is mere assumption. Okay, so that's it. Don't worry about worrying about using the least amount of action. It'll happen automatically. I already said that. The day you fully realize the power of assumption, you discover that it works in complete conformity with this principle. Here we go. Again, another thing that I have seen misunderstood. It works by means of attention minus effort. Thus, with least action, through an assumption, you hurry without haste and reach your goal without effort. Don't worry about not putting in effort. The law of assumption, the foundational principles that he's established in the beginning of the book, everything is consciousness, we're connected to consciousness. All we create our reality by our assumptions, conscious or unconscious. And just worry about creating what you want. Make your world what you want. Assume what you want is already here. That's it. Okay. Don't worry about effort. Don't worry about should I do this? Should I not do this? As long as you have the belief and persist in it, you're fine. Okay. That's that. Because creation is finished, what you desire already exists. Okay, so he introduces another idea, right? Next paragraph, creation is finished. From what you know. Yeah, because creation is finished, what you desire already exists. It is excluded from your view because you can only see the contents of your own consciousness. I've said this before. It is the function of an assumption to call back the excluded view and restore full vision, as full as we can with our limited perceptions. I'm adding that. It is not the world, but your assumptions that change. An assumption, well, I mean, from this sentence, it is not your world, but your assumptions that change. Your assumptions create your world, unless he's contradicting himself, which I don't think he is. It's just unclear what he means here, because the world does change, but in response to your assumptions. Because you are, I am. Okay, an assumption brings the invisible into sight. It is nothing more nor less than seeing with the eye of God or imagination. So it's kind of making sense. It's coming together why he's calling imagination God. I think in this chapter or later. Oh no, right here. Okay, so this is an important point to note here. Seeing what you want with your imagination is seeing with the eye of God. I don't know where he got this from. Maybe I should look up imagination in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. I will later. For now, let's just keep with the text. No. Okay, I'm going to look up what imagination means in. No, because that's not in the Bible. Okay. A little bitch. All right, never mind. Okay, so for now, let's just take what he's saying. Imagination is seeing with the eye of God. Okay, and then he says, he quotes a Bible verse, "For the Lord looketh on the heart, not as a man seeth, but on the heart." And so I did look up the definition of heart. So he says here, the heart is the primary organ of sense, of the first cause of experience. So when you look on the heart, you are looking at your assumptions, and your assumptions determine your experience of your world. So watch your assumption, because it creates everything. Okay, every event in the invisible world. All right, yeah, he said that already. Now, I looked up the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. It's a little more involved, a little more in depth. I got to a basic, there's a lot of definitions. There's a lot of that the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary says about the heart. And what I simplified it to was the heart is the visible expression of an invisible center of consciousness, or an origin of divine substance, or the subconscious mind. So it can go a lot of different ways according to the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. I don't know how these three things are. Hold on. I don't know these two, origin of divine substance and subconscious mind. Those can be understood. I understand them to be the same thing, if not very closely related. The visible expression of an invisible center of consciousness. I don't understand it. Anyway, that's never stopped me. So I think we're done with that. Okay. So the present moment, and then he introduces a third concept. So the concepts that he's introduced are creation is finished, and what was the first one? Least action, principle of least action. Okay, so I don't know what these three related things are. I mean loosely related, sure, but the format doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, the present moment is all important, for it is only in the present moment that our assumptions can be controlled. Okay, so that's why it's important to be mindful of what you are thinking about all the time, as much as possible. The future must become the present in your mind if you would wisely operate the law of assumption. The future becomes the present when you imagine you are already what you want to be, when your assumption is built. So be still and know that you are what you desire to be. Okay, so that is the main idea. He's saying it right here. Be still and know what you want to be. Don't worry about anything else. Translate your dream into being. It talks about being here. Do we talk about being? No, okay. Perpetual construction without the consciousness is fallacy. Okay, so do not construct or try to construct the future without awareness of it already being real. Okay, so very simple ideas. To summarize, just be still. Just assume you are what you want to be. That's it. Assume you have what you want. If you don't like something, assume the opposite and persist. That's it. Okay, chapter 15. We are so good on time. How much time do we have? About 10 minutes. Okay, maybe I'll just go over chapter 15. Okay, crown of the mysteries. All right. Okay. Assumption is the wish fulfilled is the ship that carries you. Assumption is everything. Realization is so that's it. It is just restating how important assumption is. And yeah, to pay attention to it. So assume a virtue, just assume whatever you want if you don't have it, and then act on the assumption that you already have what you. Okay, so if you believe what you assume, then you are going to act on it. Just, I mean, within reason. Don't buy things if you don't have the money to do it, or I mean, or do maybe you know it depends on your own assumption. I'm not going to put rules onto what other people should do or shouldn't do, because it's not important. What is done on the outside. What is important is assumptions in the inner. Okay, blessed is she that believed, for there shall be a performance of these things which were told from the. Okay, so that's a quote for regarding Mary, and I don't know where it's from. It might have been like when Elizabeth was talking to her. I'm not sure. Okay, it's not important. It's important to the chapter here. Okay, so he's talking about the Immaculate Conception, but he probably meant virgin birth. So because he talks about. Okay, so the assumption is the crown of the Christian mysteries. Psychologically means the virgin birth means the birth of an idea. So why I'm saying virgin birth for anybody unfamiliar with the book, right here, the editor's note seems to have in mind the virgin birth of Jesus. It'll make sense the more I read here. So psychologically, the virgin birth means the birth of an idea in your own consciousness, unaided by another. He introduces, okay, so he says that specific desires, hungers, wishes, longings are self-conceived. So you're the Mary. Every person is Mary. So says assumption is the highest use of consciousness. And when you use assumption to feel what you want or to feel the wish fulfilled, when you put yourself in the state of the wish fulfilled through your assumption, that is you're mentally lifted up to a higher level. So he's talked about ascending and like realizing higher states, you know, transcending your current identity or state. So this is it. It's just every time you assume, you make reality what you want. So that lifts you up, he says. Okay, yeah, that's it. All right. Okay, when. Oh man, that was really short. Okay. Nope, he's, I mean, said the same things, except he's put in the virgin birth. Yeah, virgin birth. Okay. How much time do we have? We have about 5 minutes. Yeah, we're gonna do 3 chapters. Okay. Personal impotence. Self-surrender is essential, but by that is meant the confession of personal impotence. So I can of mine own self do nothing, which was John 5:30. Jesus was praying, he was weeping the tears of blood. And so that's the main idea of this chapter here. Since creation is finished, it is impossible to force anything into being. So everything just is, and he compares it to the law of magnetism for a long time. You can neither create nor change the law of assumption, it just is. So in that respect, you are impotent. Impotence is a strong word. It just means that you don't create, because everything already is. You just manifest or experience whatever you want. You bring into your own experience, your own limited human experience, whatever you want. You choose from whatever you want, like a menu. Creation's finished. Law of assumption works. All right. And then he goes into, oh my goodness, are we gonna do more chapters? Oh my god. Okay. So yeah, impotent is maybe too strong of a word, I think. But basically, yeah, you choose. All right. So you can only yield or conform. This is important, I think. And since all of your experiences are the result of your assumptions, the value of consciously using yeah, he's drawn importance or drawn attention to the importance of assumption a lot, and so he's doing it again. So willingly identify yourself. So he's tying back to the previous chapter of being. So let me scroll back up here. Being, okay. The end of longing should be being. You can't, if you are something, feelings come naturally afterward. Anyway, I think where was I? Okay, so yeah, so be or identify yourself is just be what you most desire, knowing that it will find expression through you or your assumptions or your thoughts, your wishes. And then yield to it and be consumed as its victim and rise as the prophet of the law assumption. So it's a different idea because you create. Okay, yeah. Okay, so because first you create. Okay, you create. Well, create your assumption. Okay, you choose what you choose what you assume. Okay, and then he says to yield to it, to the feeling. Oh, by the way, if you've seen here, feeling of the wish fulfilled, I just got so tired of typing it out. That's what that means, feeling of the wish fulfilled. In case you haven't picked up on that. Okay, so I think that this is my own opinion, my theory. He says imagination is God, and so this is what I think supports that idea in his mind, that you are to yield to it or submit to it and be changed by your own feeling that you created, because you did create the assumption, as far as I know. You do have power over what you assume, and then you are also to yield to it, and that will maybe I don't that may be helpful. Please test on your own what works best for you as far as how to view assumptions and feelings. Assumptions, yeah, and feeling the wish fulfilled. I just think it's an interesting sort of paradox, kind of dichotomy. You create something and then you yield to it. And then he's, because he said it in the other parts of the book, where I think later, another part of the book, he says to that resting in the Lord. Yeah, I think he's already said that. Resting in the Lord is submitting to the will of the Father, and so the Father is not to Neville. The Father is not some external force that you are to submit to. You are to submit to your own imagination, your own assumption, and but that's kind of a mystery to me. Submitting to your assumption, thinking of your assumption as God. It's yeah, it's interesting. Okay. Okay, no. All right, so we're gonna do chapter 17 later. All right, see you later.